Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Father James. I'm sitting in what was once called the choir loft. Immediately behind the camera is the cross with the risen Jesus, and behind me is the stained glass window of the risen Christ. The three stained glass windows in the St. Peter's location of our parish the church building has three stunning stained glass windows. One to my right features creation. It's abstract, of course. Behind me is the resurrection, and to my left is a stunning Pentecost window. So creation, resurrection, or recreation, and Pentecost, recreation, as God's life fills us. It's the life of the believer to be filled with the very life of God, which means that death can be overcome. The ultimate victory is to life, not to death. In spite of the flaws in creation, in spite of the brokenness of creation, in spite of the brokenness of our human nature. Well, I'm getting pretty serious today because it's been a serious week. It's been a heavy week, hasn't it? You know, I haven't had a chance to look at the news since this morning. We're shooting this on Monday. I have no idea about the latest developments in Eastern Europe with the Russian attack, full-scale invasion in Europe for the first time in, since the Second World War. Events that are reminiscent of 1937, 38, 39. Very scary threats from a scary man who has his hands on scary weapons. What does this mean for us? It's very, very destabilizing. So much of what we may, up until last week, have taken for granted in the world, this world of ours, has a big question mark on it now. I think ultimately it's a call for us as people of faith to be honest with ourselves and say, you know, where do we actually place our trust? You know, it's so easy to make trust in God something that, well, maybe I'll do that if all else fails. I can always trust God. And well, I think maybe a few of the things that we have put our trust in have failed. And in that is a grace to trust God in a deeper way. With that preamble, I want to also deal with a few difficult questions today. I wish it wasn't the case, but we have to deal with these. As you know, you've been following these videos. If you're a member of the parish, that we've been going through a difficult process following the merger of our parishes in January 1st, 2020, trying to grapple with our infrastructure because there are so many demands upon us as we try to maintain and keep these buildings going. And we went through the new foundation series, we went through the options process, we made the reports to the bishop, we did the listening sessions, we made the reports to the bishop, and as you know, the bishop gave the go-ahead for the closure of the buildings. Well, this past Friday, I met with the bishop one-on-one. He had asked us to put together a plan that would be executed by a committee that we're calling the Closure Committee. Now, I don't know if it's a very good name, but we're calling it the Closure Committee, not because it's about the closure of buildings, not just about the closure of buildings, but about helping us find closure. And so we were asked to create a plan, and the bishop wanted to see me. We had a great conversation. He let me know that he's aware of all the amazing things that are happening here at our parish and how much he appreciates our labors. And he was a little concerned for us that we're not doing too much at once. And fair enough, that's a concern. That's always going to be a concern, I think, that we have to monitor. But basically, here's the plan that we agreed on. We agreed on dates for the closure of each building and a process. So number one, on the weekend of April 30th, May 1st, we are going to have a special weekend. And on that weekend, we're going to have our 4 parish masses at the 4 parish locations. It's a one-off. We're going to do it just on that one weekend, and it's going to be an opportunity, in a sense, to celebrate what has been, to celebrate the past, to recognize for the last time to have Sunday Eucharist at each of these locations and to recognize what has been, as well as invite our parishioners to look into the future. The following Saturday, Saturday, May 7th at 10 a.m., will be the final Mass at Immaculate Conception Church. Now, Immaculate Conception Church has been winterized, so at the end of April, we'll have to get ramped up to have these two almost back-to-back celebrations of the Eucharist there. But the Archbishop will come on that Saturday morning. There's a special liturgy that involves going to the different symbols of sacred items within the parish, and in a sense decommissioning them in some way. It's kind of like a funeral for a church. So that's what we're going to do Saturday, May 7th. On June 29th, the church celebrates the feast of St. Peter and Paul, and my understanding is that June 29th was a kind of feast day for St. Paul's Parish. So that's not going to be the closing Mass for St. Paul's, but we are going to use that feast day as a time of celebration. We're going to do our best to reach out to St. Paul's parishioners from the past, whether those who are now firmly a part of Our Lady of Guadalupe, or those who have been lost in the shuffle, even those who have been hurt, and to invite them back for a celebration of the Eucharist, and to have a reception afterwards, much like we did for the 100th anniversary of Immaculate Conception Church back in October. And so our hope is that we would have a wonderful celebration of Mass and a reception with food, and again, a celebration of the past. The date for closure of St. Paul's church building will be September 10th, Saturday, September 10th. Again, the Archbishop will come, and there'll be a similar liturgy to the one that we will have done at Immaculate Conception Church. After both of these liturgies, then there is also a whole bunch of work we're going to have to do around emptying the buildings, looking at the sacred art and making decisions about what we do with those works of art, whether stained glass windows or statues. They're part of the legacy of our new parish, and so we have to care for those, and that's going to take time and effort. We'll have to do the same in September for St. Paul's Church as well. But between now and May, we have a lot of things to do. We've got Lent, we've got all the demands, and it's going to be full tilt, very, very busy up until then. And so we really do need that time until September, because one of the important things that we're going to be asking the closure committee to do is not just to manage these events, these masses, these gatherings, but also to help us identify who are the people that have been hurt along the way, and how do we do our best to try to bring them in to our new parish. So there's some difficult news. It has a sense of finality to it, of course, when you start talking about dates. But again, as though this is a kind of death in a way, there's no way around that. Again, resurrection behind me, resurrected Jesus in front of me. We believe that death leads to resurrection. Now, I'm going to have another sip of coffee here because I've got some more heavy news to share with you. Last week, on Tuesday, our Director of Operations, Roy Polacco, who's been with us for 15 months, we met together, and he notified me that he was resigning from his position as Director of Operations. And I have to say, I was saddened to hear of this news, and he gave us 2 weeks' notice last week. So right off, I just want to let you know that Roy has been an incredibly valuable member of our team since he joined us. He came at a time when we had so many challenges, and many of you may be saying, well, why on earth? Why is he doing this? And I want to respect Roy, and perhaps if you know him personally, you can ask him. But we did speak about how we would communicate this to you in this video, and he was in agreement about some of the ways that we could express it. Roy told me that he didn't regret this last 15 months. In fact, he said he would do it again if he had the chance. He says he's grown a lot, he's learned a lot, but he's kind of, I don't know, I guess you'd say like done. It's taken a lot out of him. It's taken the price he's paid to be in this role has been huge. I mean, it has been a gargantuan task. There have been many, many difficulties, challenges in, managing these 14 buildings in the course of any week, the unexpected things that happen on top of everything else that we're dealing with from an operational perspective. It's been a very challenging 15 months, year and a half for all of us, for sure. But Roy, in many ways, carried the burden of all of these operational dimensions of our parish, and it came at a cost. In talking with Roy, I said to him, Roy, there's a sports expression that commentators sometimes use, and I said to him, I think this applies to you. It describes your situation. When I shared it with him, his face lit up, and he said, yes, that's what it is for me. And it's this, that Roy left it on the field. He left it on, like, he's exhausted, like he's given it all. And he's brought our parish to a very different place. We are not organizationally where we were when he first arrived. Another image he used with me is that he came here, he got a machete, and he helped to hack through the jungle to clear a path. And we've cleared that path, and we're at the beginning of a different stage. We just shared about these dates for closure of buildings. We finished the third of the dreaming sessions. We're beginning to conceive and start to plan the real possibility of a renewed central space and everything that means. It's a process that's going to take a long time. So where does that leave us? Well, first of all, I think we need to thank Roy. We need to celebrate Roy. The staff team are going to get together next week. We never got together for Christmas because of COVID, but we're going to get together and celebrate Roy. We had a wonderful staff meeting today. We shared this news with the staff members, and they were able to really affirm Roy and thank him for all the things he does. If you've gotten to know Roy, he's a very humble man. He's a kind, gentle man. He's a man who, I forget who it was that said it, but someone once said that some people speak because they have something to say, and some people speak because they have to say something. Well, Roy is a guy that only speaks when he's got something to say, and usually what he says is worth listening to. Roy has been incredibly dedicated, committed, and is given it all, incredibly hardworking. But in the end, the cost to him and his family life has been great. And, well, he left it on the field. So I hope that this communication I'm making right now is not going to be a deterrent to anyone who might contemplate being Roy's successor. Just realize that might be the case. Because the truth is, it's not the job that it was. The situation has changed, and it would be a different job entirely. Well, not entirely, but considerably, perhaps. So that's the second thing. And the third thing, of course, is I want to return back to this, the terrible events of this past week, and invite you to pray. I mean, Pope Francis has asked us to observe Ash Wednesday, not just as a day of prayer and fasting, as we always do, but specifically to fast and pray for peace between Russia and Ukraine, peace in Eastern Europe, peace in the world. This is what we're talking about, the world. So we look forward to seeing you on Ash Wednesday, Masses at 9, 12, 4, and 7. And this coming Friday as well, we've decided to lengthen the time of Eucharistic adoration. We were doing 9:30 to 12. Now we're going to go from 9:30 to 3. And almost all the spots are filled up. So please, if you'd like to do that, please get on our website and sign up for one of those spots. We need to have a guarantee that there are at least 2 people before the Blessed Sacrament at all times. There can be many more, of course. And perhaps just to ask you to pray for 2 things. Obviously, we need to pray for peace, that God's kingdom will come, that wisdom will prevail, and cooler heads will prevail. But I also ask you to pray for Roy and his departure as he makes a transition to a new responsibility. And please pray for our parish, because, well, as a part of this, it's like, I don't know what we're going to do. I really don't. It's almost like having your sense of the security of the world disappear overnight. In the end, both require us to be rooted in Jesus, to be rooted in our faith. Both require us to allow these small deaths to lead to life, for death to lead to resurrection. And that's why why we have the resurrection window behind me and why I'm staring at the risen Jesus in front of me. So, God bless everyone. Take care.